be honest, I don't even know where to begin with this one, except for my mind was blown. Yeah, let's go. Thanks for joining. I appreciate it. My name is Mark, and you've come to the Modest Audiophile channel. If it's your first time, thanks. I really appreciate it. If you come back for more, thank you. Thank you very much. So what we're here to talk about today, as I alluded to in the introduction, an album that completely blew my mind. And I'll try and get through this as quickly as I can. I've got a lot of notes, and I don't want to screw this thing up because there's a lot to talk about on this one little album. And I want to start it off by a quote from David Crosby himself on the making of this album, okay? And then we'll go through the packaging, and we'll go through, most importantly, how this thing sounds and all of that. But let me get to the quote. These were all good friends and good people, and they knew that I was lonely, and they knew also that I was slightly nuts at the time. And they would come and we would play music. I would sit down with whoever did show up, most often Jerry Garcia, and start playing a song. If you started playing music, he wanted to play. And we had a 2-track tape running constantly the entire night. And the minute that something started to happen, the 24-track would start to roll, or maybe it was a 12-track back then. And then I would start layering harmonies onto it, and that was a lot of fun. So, yeah, David Crosby, you gotta remember when this album ccame out. So Crosby, Stills and Nash had their debut album released in 1969, the Couch album. I've done a review on that a couple months back. Thanks for watching if you've watched that. If you haven't, if I can figure out how to attach a link, I'll do that. And so that was the Couch album. Came out, Analogue Productions is the one I reviewed. It's a 45 RPM record as well. In fact, it was at that time, a couple months ago, when I listened to that I immediately did a pre-order for this one because it blew my mind and I wanted more of that. Yeah, where's that? Okay, so let's go back. So yeah, Crosby, Stills and Nash, first album came out in '69, a month after I was born. And then of course their follow-up album with Neil Young coming in, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, Deja Vu, blah, 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 you know the rest. After that, right, the guys went out and they started doing their separate albums, their solo efforts. And in this case for David, he also had the burden, maybe that's not a right word for it, but he was lonely because his girlfriend, Chrissy, I forgot her last name, but Chrissy, back in 1969, I believe it was taking their cat to the vet. I think that's the story and how it goes. Got into a car accident and died. It was very tragic. And David was dealing with it in healthy and unhealthy ways. This maybe being a healthy way, his extracurricular activities that are known far and wide were probably the unhealthy ways that he was dealing with it. Let's go with the packaging. This is part of, before I show, well, let's do this. Here is this right here. This is part of the Atlantic Audiophile series, the 75th anniversary of Atlantic Records. Look at this thing. Those are all, I don't know if I can get the pan back here, those are all the musicians that participated in this. Look at this back cover. Man, look at that picture of David. Fantastic. Yeah, I love that. That's, I'd never seen that before. That's killer. That's absolutely killer. This is part of the hype on this, right? All the hallmarks of a top-notch Analogue Productions reissue are here for you to savor. Mastered directly from the Analog Master Tape by Bernie Grunman and cut at 45 RPM. Pressed at quality record pressings and housed in tip-on old-style gatefold double-pocket jackets with film lamination by Stoughton Printing. Whew. What came on the inside were a couple things here. Just more information about the 75th anniversary of Atlantic, and just some more more ads here from Acoustic Sounds and all of that. Let's go through a list of the musicians on this thing, and then I'll try to go through some of the songs on really what blew my mind. Okay, and by the way, this is all being done on a modestly priced hi-fi system. I can only imagine what this record sounds like on somebody who's got some money that they're spending on their system. This is what I'm listening to it on. Okay, it is my analog stage is an Audio-Technica LP 120 with an upgraded cart. Nothing special there. It's going through a Pro-Ject 2-box S2 Phono preamp with some upgraded Genalex tubes, Golden Line I think they're called. Anyway, look in the description below and you'll find out more details on the information on what I'm listening to. That Phono preamp is then going to my integrated amp, which is a Rotel A11 Tribute, and going through these Wharfedale Denton 85th Anniversary Edition speakers. I think I got all that right. Okay. Now, where do we start? Yeah, let's talk about some of the musicians that were on this thing, because this is a flipping who's who of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in the California music scene in the late 60s and early 70s. My gosh, listen to this. Graham Nash, obviously David Crosby. Jerry Garcia, Neil Young. Jorma Kaukonen, probably mispronounced that, my apologies. Laura Allen, Greg Raleigh, Phil Lesh, Jack Cassidy, Bill Kreutzmann, Michael Shreve, Mickey Hart, Joni Mitchell, David Freiberg, Paul Cantor, Grace Slick, most of the Jefferson Airplane were there. My gosh, when he could put together some people, he put together some people. So I'll try to, the best I can, is when we go through the songs, I'll pull out who wrote it and who played on it, okay? And then we'll talk about how it sounds. Really? How it sounds, yeah. Where's my notes? I got so many flippin' notes here. How my system was set up when I listened to it. I've discussed it before. I like to, my speakers are 10 feet apart and I sit 10 feet away. I try to listen to my music somewhere. I live between, on a day-to-day basis, between 81 decibels and maybe the top is pretty much about 85. I don't really get too much above that for any longer stretches. By the way, I've had these speakers now for, I don't know, a little over a year and a half, and I've never had any type of ear fatigue with these things. I love these speakers. I could listen to them for hours and hours and hours at those decibels and not get any ear fatigue. So again, I dialed in the amp at a volume of 75. And it's a 50 watt amp. I think it pushes more towards, these are 4 ohm speakers, it pushes more towards the 4 ohm, but anyway, it's 50 watts at 8 ohms. I'm not sure what it is at 4 ohm. For the dBs right here, I took it down during the second song, Cowboy Movie. And the low end was 66 decibels, the high end was 95 decibels, and I was living at an average of 82 decibels. Had quite a bit of dynamic range. I mean, dynamic range on this album is ridiculous. Sound stage is ridiculous, and we'll get to all that in a second. But yeah, it was a very enjoyable listen at those decibels, and it really didn't change much from any of the other songs. I wanted to get a song that I thought had a wide range, and that one did. All right, sound stage, as big as ever. In fact, there was, I'd say, you know what this reminded me of? This reminded me of, here's a Gen X call out for everybody. Back to the Future, the end of the first movie. They hop back into the DeLorean, the Doc, Marty, his girlfriend. As Doc is putting down his eyeglasses, he kind of goes something to the effect of, where we're going, we don't need roads, or there are no roads. Yeah, where we were going on this record, you didn't need speakers. Obviously you did, but they disappeared. They completely disappeared. The entire wall, hell, again, it was outside the house, above the ceiling, below the floor, outside the walls. Incredible. I can only imagine, again, what people are getting from a listening experience when they're spending 5 times, 10 times, 50 times more than I'm spending on my system. Oh, I can only imagine. Maybe again, it's a good thing that I don't listen to it on those speakers, because then I wouldn't be maybe as happy as I am now. And I'm very, very happy with my setup. No speakers, they disappeared. I saw some comments from some other people listening to Atmos is what they prefer to do now. Yeah, I've heard a couple things on Atmos. I also have a 5.1 surround sound system that I use for movies up here. And I've listened to a lot of the Beatles' recent 50th anniversaries on 5.1. They do sound pretty cool, pretty interesting. And the one time that I did listen to an Atmos system, yeah, very, very cool. But to hear something like this album on a 2-channel system and get that virtual soundstage, really, it's really an illusion, right? This thing blew me away. I can't articulate that enough. And I've got some great albums that we've talked about before. This thing was otherworldly. It really was. All right, we'll go through song by song now. Take a breath, Mark. So how does it sound? All right, so how does it sound? We'll do this a little bit different. I'll try to tell you who wrote the song, who played on that song, and call out 1 or 2 items on that song that just kind of shook me to my core or put a smile on my face that hurt my cheeks. First of all, how it sounds just mammoth, like I stated. Absolutely, you are part of the soundstage. You are sitting in that studio quietly in the corner and watching David and his friends play in the studio and craft this album. First song. Now remember, this is cut at 45 speed, so there are 2 records. Side 1 of the first record starts with Music is Love. It was written by David Crosby, Graham Nash, and Neil Young. What I said right away, as soon as I started listening to this thing, my notes are incredible separation. And I should have said this earlier. This is one of those records that it's deadly quiet. You don't know you're listening to vinyl. And on every one of the 4 sides that I dropped the needle, by the way, that stylus locked right into place in the groove. It was one of the easiest needle drops, period, that I have in my collection. Pretty silly to say that, but yeah, I mean, this thing was so flat and so good that the needle was perfect every single time. What I said about Music is Love, incredible separation of the instruments and the vocals, just so vivid. Killer bongos, I put. Neil's playing the bongos amongst a few other things, but he's playing the bongos, and those things are coming right out of the right. You know, after hearing this first song, you're in for a different ride. The genre that they put on this album on Wikipedia, actually. Psychedelic folk. I've heard that. Folk rock. I've heard that. I haven't heard this one. Freak folk. Yeah, all right. Yeah, freak folk. I get it. This is it. Cool. We'll leave it at that. All right, back to the song. It starts off your journey. We'll leave it at that. Coming into the second song called Cowboy Movie. I had heard this song several different times. One of the best versions of this song that I have heard was actually up in Portland, Maine at the State Theater back probably about 15 years ago now. It was just David Crosby, Graham Nash, right, when they were touring. And yeah, that was really the first time that hooked me on this song. And it's about a couple of outlaws that have to deal with a femme fatale. It's a very good song, very enjoyable to listen to. Nice storytelling, David. And what I put on here were the hand claps were there, right? Hand clap guy. The hand claps were there. Again, since the soundstage is so clear, you can hear everything. Towards the end of this song, I definitely got that Crazy Horse vibe, which was very interesting. who played on this song? All right, let's find out who played on Cowboy Movie. First of all, Cowboy Movie was written by David Crosby alone. And who played on it? A lot of names here. See, Jerry played electric guitar in Cowboy Movie. Phil Lesh played bass on Cowboy Movie. Bill Kreutzmann was drummer on Cowboy Movie. Mickey Hart played drums on Cowboy Movie. So what a band together for this song. Yeah, if you haven't listened to Cowboy Movie, go Google it, call it up on whatever service you want, any streaming service, and take a good listen to it. Very, very enjoyable song. All right, then, since that's the last song on side one, we flip it on to side two. And side two starts with, I'm not going to pronounce this correct. It was written by David Crosby, and it's called Tamil Pace High. I think it is. Tamil Pace High at about 3. Love the name. Who played on this? Graham Nash played guitar and vocals. Jerry's on electric guitar again. Jorma's playing electric guitar. Phil Lesh is playing bass. Bill Kreutzmann's playing drums. And that's it. So man, killer stuff. So this song, I said this song it felt like the cross between Crosby and Nash and those special harmonies that they have, right? They've done it on Guinevere. They've done it on another song on this album that you'll hear, but you know that Crosby-Nash sound. It sounded like that crossed between a little Dark Star-ish type of sound, a little Grateful Dead Dark Star, early Dead. And heck, half the Dead are on the album, on the song rather, so no wonder why it sounds like that. Yeah, so realistic and holographic, and let me say that again, because again, I got a comment and the individual thought that was one and the same and didn't like it. Realistic and holographic. Realistic in the sense that the guitars sound so much like guitars, like they should, that you can see the strings. I mean, realism in that it is an ultra-realistic portrayal, recording of the music, of the instruments themselves. So realistic you can smell the wood from the acoustic guitar. You guitar players know what I mean. You put your nose in the sound hole, you know the smell. And holographic because, listen, it is holographic. It doesn't mean it's fake. Holographic to me means you've got a 2-channel system here. The whole sense of the soundstage is an illusion. When you close your eyes and the speakers disappear, you are seeing with your mind's eye, and that's what I mean about holographic, okay? So again, the Modest Audiophile, yeah, I'm trying to articulate this the best I can because it's both. The instruments are ultra realistic and the soundstage is so holographic, like I stated. You're there. You're literally there. And that's why I bring those words up, because I can't think of any better words to describe it. Okay? Second song on side 2 is Laughing. I've heard this song on a box set. Crosby, Stills, Nash box set came out when I was in college, so we're talking early 90s. Yeah, I've heard the song. I don't believe I've ever heard these guys play it on stage before in any incarnation of the band, but I've never heard it like this, obviously. Never heard it on a decent hi-fi system. Never heard it on a 45 RPM Analogue Productions record. Well, first of all, who wrote it and who was on it, right? David Crosby wrote Laughing, and who is on Laughing? Graham Nash. He's got guitar and vocals on Laughing. Jerry Garcia's playing pedal steel guitar. Phil Lesh is playing drums. Bill Kreutzmann's playing drums. I'd say Phil Lesh is playing drums. Phil Lesh is playing bass. Yeah, Phil Lesh is playing bass. Bill Kreutzmann was playing drums. And Joni Mitchell's got vocals on this song as well. What did I put for Laughing? This was one of those everything disappears moments where I'm sitting there, and by the way, I listened to this record 5 times in the last week, so I made sure that I got an accurate description as best I can of what I was hearing. What I wrote about laughing was, yeah, you can literally see the strings buzzing on these guitars, these acoustic guitars. Incredible, incredible. So quiet and real, you can hear the count-ins. So, meaning that during the course of the song, when there is a pause and the music dies down, you can hear David whispering. Whispering, 1, 2, counting in until the next lyric came in, the next verse came in, right, or when the musicians came back in. I've never heard that before. Such a very faint but very articulate whisper. You can hear it plain as day. And this is what I wrote. I wrote, everything around you disappears except for the music. This thing sucks you in, unlike anything else in my record collection. Probably if I listened to more jazz, more audiophile jazz, I would probably hear more of that. And we'll get to that hopefully in some future videos. But laughing took me to another place altogether. It was just me in the music. Man, what a song. Then we flip it over to the second record, side 1. And that starts with, what are their names? I put wow. Definitely more Grateful Dead vibe on this song. I've heard this at a Crosby and Nash show, that same show in Portland, Maine. And I may have heard this with one of the Crosby, Stills, Nash, or Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young songs. I think I've heard this a few times, but never like this. And let's go, who was on this album? Or I'm sorry, who was on this record? Who was on this song? So, what are their names? First of all, it was written by David Crosby, Jerry Garcia, Michael Shrieve, if I pronounced that right, Neil Young, and Phil Lesh. Again, Crosby, Garcia, Shrive, Young, Lesh. What a mix of musicians. Holy crap. Who was actually on this record? All right. Jerry was playing, electric guitar, Neil guitar and vocals, Phil Lesh bass and vocals. Michael Shrive, played drums. Joni Mitchell, vocals, and half of the Jefferson Airplane. David Freiberg, Paul Kantner, and Grace Slick were all on this song. Whew! All right. What did I think about this song? I went, wow, like I said, definitely a Grateful Dead vibe-ish type of song. Loved it. Can't say any more about it. Just, again, the people who got credit for writing this song and the people that were in the studio putting this thing together, you got to get it. You got to get this album just for that, don't you? All right. Second song on side 3, Traction in the Rain. Written by David Crosby. Who was on this? Graham Nash, vocals and guitar. Laura Allen playing auto harp and vocals on Traction in the Rain. I was wondering what that instrument was. Okay, it's an auto harp. Yeah, that's it. Okay. So what I thought about Traction in the Rain was just such presence I put on the guitars and vocals. What I wrote here was, an experience unlike any other. And I can still truthfully say that. That's what I wrote the last listening I had before this review. I listened to it last night. This song it's kind of jazzy, right? There are no particular lyrics, but there are vocals. Very David Crosby and Graham Nash-ish. This thing was an experience unlike any other. I can't say any more or any less than that. Get it. Listen to it. It'll blow your mind. I went, beat me out here. Yeah. Had another one of those Christmas vacation moments. Not Christmas vacation. Had another one of those Christmas story moments when I went, fudge. It wasn't fudge. The harmonics. You can hear the harmonics in this song. Incredible. Incredible. This was I just put some of these crazy thoughts down. Again, another song where there weren't speakers in my room. There was the sound studio was in my room. Incredible. like I wrote here, an experience unlike any other. It was an accurate reproduction of the air movement. I know I'm getting a little crazy here, right? So it's like you felt the air movement just like it would have been in the studio. Just incredible. I can't really say more than that, and you're probably telling me, Mark, shut up, just get on the next song. Incredible. The couple of these songs, this being one of them, Traction in the Rain, just transports you to another place. Great, great stuff. All right, like I said earlier, then we flip it over to Song with No Words. First song on the fourth side. Who wrote Song with No Words? Song with No Words. So this was written by David Crosby. There is a YouTube video out there that I'll try and share. A YouTube video. I think there was an old, I saw it on PBS once. I actually think this was a program in the early 70s that had David Crosby and Graham Nash over in England, I think, doing a acoustic concert, two people in England. And anyway, this song came in, and David, I remember, he jokes a little bit about it at the time. The name of it is Song with No Words. David Crosby says at this concert that they're putting on for a TV special, he goes, yeah, I think this is right, or something similar to it. David goes, yeah, I call it Song with No Words, and Graham calls it Tree with No Leaves. That's the name of the song, Song with No Words, Tree with No Leaves, written by David Crosby. And in this case, unlike what I saw, and you've probably seen, you had the full band on this thing. So the whole band that was playing this time on this song was Jerry Garcia, electric guitar, Jorma, electric guitar, Greg Raleigh, piano. We'll get to that in a second. Jack Cassidy, bass, Michael Shreve, drums. Yeah, like I said earlier, this is the first time I've heard this song with a full band, and it added a different layer of complexity than I had been used to hearing this particular song. Great, great song. The piano on the left was right there. You could reach out and touch it. Incredible. I put so visual when you close your eyes, and yeah, the soundstage was coming again. You're there. I can't go, oh, how many feet to the left, how many feet to the right, how high, how low. No, you're in it. So literally, you're sitting here and the soundstage is wrapping around you, because you can actually hear stuff coming almost behind your ears. It was that incredible. And the ending with the harmonies on this thing, of course, right? Graham Nash and David Crosby. Those two guys just by themselves, the harmonies are incredible. And then you start adding some of these other musicians. Man, what a song! What a song! Orleans, classic harmonies. Orleans was a traditional song that I think it's spoken in like a Frenchish type of dialect or something to that effect, Creole. I'm not sure, but it's a traditional song that David got credit for arranging. I put precise, vivid acoustic guitars. It's a very short song, just over a minute, I think. Awesome, and it fits really well on this particular album. All right, the last song on the album is I Swear There Was Somebody Here, written by David Crosby. I'm not really going to go on to who played on it, because I think it was probably just David Crosby doing layering and layering and layering of his vocals. And this song, I put pain. This song just articulated pain and longing, and obviously Dave was going through some stuff here with his girlfriend passing away about 1.5 years before they made this song, before they made this album rather. It was a cathedral of voices is what I put down here. All you heard, the entire flipping room in here, was a cathedral of David Crosby's vocals. Man, what a way to end this album. What are my final thoughts? Yeah, my final thoughts are, holy crap, what a freaking album. I've heard most of these songs, like maybe most of you. If you clicked on this one, you're very familiar with this album. This probably will not be one of the most watched videos that I've put out, but For those in the know, this album is incredible. And if I can say one thing to you folks, if you are an audiophile or whatever that means, just to say if you are a lover of music, if you are a lover of the sound stage and the imaging, you gotta get this. You gotta get this album. Now, I had spent, it's gone up in price. It's $65, $64.99. I'll put a picture here so you can go check it out. It is worth every last red cent. This is probably the most I'll spend on an album. I don't see myself spending more than $65 on a single album. But again, incredible packaging. I mean, for $65, you're getting an incredible package. You're getting the master directly from the original master tapes from Bernie Grumman. It is an all analog pressing. It's awesome. It is awesome. I think this record's value is just going to go up. Shouldn't matter one way or the other. If you love music, get this album. All right, so yeah, I guess what I'll leave you with that is, in this time of stress for me, so we're moving. And for the last like 4 or 5 days, I've been losing my mind trying to clean this house and get it ready for showing. We're going to start doing the showings this weekend. Stress? Yeah, if you've moved, you know, moving is stressful. So just like I had to do, find some time at the end of your day, grab your favorite beverage, go out and buy yourself this. Now, the 33 RPM, I'm sure is awesome. I'm sure it's awesome as well. I've never listened to it. I'll put a picture on here and find out what the price difference is between the two. But if you are a person that loves soundstage and loves imaging, yeah, pop for the $65 for the 45 RPM. This thing is magnificent. I am so glad I have this. And that's what I wish for you. So music lovers out there, yeah, find some time at the end of your day when you're trying to get rid of some stress, get out of your own headspace, sit back, pour yourself your favorite beverage. This whole album, I think, is less than 40 minutes long, so you'll have time to listen to it again. That's it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. We'll see how it comes out in editing, because I've been all over the flipping map with this thing. But yes, wholeheartedly recommend David Crosby's If I Could Only Remember My Name, right? Yeah, that's it. If I Could Only Remember My Name, if I could only remember the title. Get yourself some. It's fantastic. And with that, thanks. I appreciate it. I'll try to get another one out as soon as I can, but it won't be this weekend. We have to go find a house now. So much fun right now at the Modest Audiophile's home. Take care, everybody. Bye.